What's up everybody, my name is Richie and I have my first triathlon coming up on June 7th this year, but I'm super new to both cycling and swimming, so my girlfriend's father invited both of us to ride the Boston Marathon course the night before the marathon. I was super excited to get some experience in. The group you'll see me riding with today is my girlfriend, her father, and two of his friends, all of whom are great to ride with. For my girlfriend and I, this was our first time clipping into the bike on a ride more than about 5 miles. Prior to this, we would just find an unbusy sidewalk or patch of grass and clip in for a few feet before turning around, and I only fell one time. This ride is a perfect training ride for the triathlon because we're doing the Olympic distance triathlon in Hyannis, which is a 20-mile bike ride with approximately 472 feet of elevation, whereas the Boston Marathon, of course, is 26.2 miles, but has about 815 feet of elevation gain. So the Boston Marathon is essentially an extra 10K and close to double the elevation gain, which gives me confidence that if we can do this ride, we'll have no problem in the biking section of the triathlon. Now bear with me, as you can probably tell, it was very dark out. We were planning to finish the ride sometime around midnight, and it was hard to see anything in person and even worse on the camera, although I did do my best in editing to make everything more visible. I'm also pretty new to recording in general, so I'll be playing around with different camera angles to try to make the best videos for you all. I do want to take a moment to thank my girlfriend's father's two friends though. They were very nice and gave me a flashlight along with a mount for it, and not just for this ride, they let me keep it after too, so we'll see that later on in this video. I did ask if I could use their names in the video though, so I'll refrain from using any names for the sake of everyone's privacy. The little stop you just saw off the beginning of the course was a minor mechanical issue with someone's bike, but after a small delay, we're all back up and running again. Everyone except for one in our riding group has red, white, and blue LED lights on the wheels of our bikes. This not only makes it very easy to tell who is in our group, but it also got us a ton of compliments. This is my first time hearing about this ride, but apparently it is well known and there were over 1,000 riders this year, which is another reason why it was perfect practice for the triathlon. The roads weren't technically shut down yet as it wasn't a sanctioned event, but there were so many bikes, rollerblades, and other wheel devices on the road that it felt so much safer and was definitely a good way to ease into riding on the road. Oh, and real quick, I'll explain the overlays on the screen. The bottom left is a map of the route with the bits we've done turning into a bright blue. The top right is a map of the elevation, gain, and drop, also showing where we currently are with the green being in the past. In the bottom right, you can probably guess is a speedometer with the exact speed at the bottom of the speedometer in miles per hour, and my heart rate and beats per minute right below that. This is the first time I'm using GPS data as an overlay in a video, so there's a chance the numbers could be off by a couple seconds from what you're seeing, but it's mostly accurate. And now that we've gone over what the overlays are, if you were paying attention to the speedometer, you can see the lady on the rollerblades at the traffic light was going about 18 to 19 miles an hour on flat ground, which was kind of crazy on the rollerblades. Those things don't even have brakes. And now we get to the point where my girlfriend's father's friends give me a flashlight for my helmet. One had a mount and the other had a flashlight, so they both let me use and then ultimately keep the gear. And this is so nice of them, especially considering this is the first time I've ever met them. Hopefully from this point on in the video, the darkness isn't too bad, but the beginning was really rough. I remember trying to position myself behind people who had lights so I could use their light to survey the area in front of me, but I definitely should have come more prepared. With that being said, this ride was much more impressive for them than it was for my girlfriend and I, because while we started at the start line, then rode to the finish line, they started at the finish line, rode to the start line to pick us up, and then rode all the way back to the finish line with us. The longest virtual ride I've done so far was about 40 to 45 miles if I remember correctly. The longest actual ride I've done was a bit over 30 miles. This ride for them was a bit over 52 miles, which is awesome, but as I get more comfortable with biking and getting more technically skilled on the bike, I look forward to increasing the mileage on my long runs. Now that I'm feeling better and more confident with the clipless pedals, the next skill I want to get good at is drinking water while riding the bike instead of waiting to be at a red light or some other stop. After I master drinking water, I'll work on refueling with food, which will be tougher because of the wrappers, but these two things together will help me bike for much longer distances and really crank out that cardio. Also, I currently have an appointment to get a tow package installed in my car, so I'll hopefully have a bike rack soon and I can do more long rides by virtue of not needing to start near my house in the city. This part here was a steep hill that I mistakenly thought was Heartbreak Hill. As you can see very clearly in the elevation plot, this was in fact not Heartbreak Hill, even though my heart rate jumps from the steady 140s to the mid 170s pretty quickly. The hills on this course were tough on a bike, but it's hard to imagine running up Heartbreak Hill at the 18 to 19 mile mark of a 26.2 mile race. No wonder Heartbreak Hill gets so much flack. But one great thing about this course is how straight it is. There were barely any curves or turns to worry about, so it was very hard to get lost, and on the few turns that there were, or anywhere where it wasn't very obvious where to go, there were volunteers letting people know where they should go, which was really cool to see, with one exception that we'll talk about later. But if you're enjoying the content and you'd like to see more cycling or triathlon videos, or just see me tackle more fitness challenges in general, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Anyways, at this point in the course, we get to a few rolling hills around the Wesley area right before hitting Heartbreak Hill. Personally, I love rolling hills. I love the intense effort to propel yourself up and then being able to coast a little bit on the way down. This makes sense since I'm coming from playing hockey most of my life, which is a very intense sport with short bursts of energy. The average shift length for forwards in hockey is between 30 and 45 seconds. And defensemen only stay on the ice for around 45 seconds to a minute. So rolling hills definitely feels like home for me. It's funny, I always say that different forms of cardio contribute to one another very poorly. That is, if you're in good running shape, then try wrestling or swimming or any other workout that heavily relies on cardio. It's like your fitness just completely disappears. But I've always noticed that hockey and biking seem to relate well to one another. Now we're halfway up Heartbreak Hill, the rail one this time, and let me tell you, my legs are failing it. The lactic acid is building up like crazy in my legs at this point, but we get through it and a little bit ahead of the rest of our group. So my girlfriend and I decided to wait at this traffic light for the rest of our group to catch up. This also happens to be perfect timing because my GoPro battery dies right here, which I knew would happen at some point during the ride, but here I can easily replace it with the backup battery I brought with me. This guy in the black SUV asks us what everyone is riding for, so we explain it to him. It's a marathon ride right before Marathon Monday, and the whole atmosphere is a ton of fun. What's absolutely crazy to me though is that this is Boston Marathon, and look how close we are to the finish on the GPS overlay, and we still can't really even see the Boston skyline. I haven't done a lot of traveling, which is something I'd like to change. I've never seen any of the other world majors, but I imagine most of them you are in or can at least see the city for the entire race. But here we are just starting to get into the thick of the city now. The traffic lights are becoming more frequent. We ride next to the green line for a little bit and there are way more cars around. This is also the point where I'm very thankful for all the volunteers that are pointing riders into the correct direction. We also get a nice steep drop off in elevation right about here, which is a good thing at the end of a long ride. We ride along Commonwealth Ave, and this is the point where I wish there was just one more volunteer because we blow right past the turn off of Com Ave and end up overshooting a little bit. But once we realize, we make a little U-turn and then course correct. At this point, we're pretty much at the finish line. Just one more corner to turn around here, then one more straight away, and then we're home free. This felt amazing on the bike. I can't imagine how it would feel as a runner doing the Boston Marathon for the first time. Hopefully I can do that someday as well. So with everyone finishing up, we call it a day, and I hope you like this video. I'll see you all next time.